from Charlie in Starkville, Mississippi.
I knew it.
And by the way, John Fell in Baltimore never got the heat that Charlie in Starkville, Mississippi seems to get.
Well, because John he's one of those guys that just asks those nice questions in a friendly way, because John's got such a pleasing personality, whereas Charlie sometimes comes off as a bit of a snit.
You think so?
And well, maybe it's just the way you read it. And the fact that everybody knows now that he's somewhat privileged around here.
Let's get to his question. Hi, asshole. What are your thoughts? No, that's not what he said. What are your thoughts on the Revival turning down a $700,000 per year plus contract offer from the WWE? And if they do jump to AEW, do you have faith they will be used correctly considering the Young Bucks are booking the tag team division?
Well, I think if they turn down $700,000 a year apiece, I can understand that they're obviously, they've been, when you're the best in the world at what you do and you're not allowed to do it or even anything approaching it, then naturally you get frustrated. Now, I've been there. I walked out on fucking $150,000, then 20, what was that? Well, 20 years ago. So what would that be today? About $350, whatever. Yeah, I need about $350. And the fourth time I met the Loch Ness Monster, I'm sorry, it's the cold medicine talking, ladies and gentlemen, but he needed about $350. And then I noticed that Girl Scout was 9 stories tall and had a tail and was from the Mesozoic era. But anyway, so yes, I understand being frustrated, and I would suspect in my heart that they have an equivalent offer or something, whether it's equivalent or not, it's a better offer in their mind financially or for peace of mind to do something else when their contract is up. And I think it would be great. I want these guys to be exposed in front of a big audience because they're so good at what they do. And I've told a story the first time that I saw fucking Scott Dawson when he was under an assumed name 10 years ago at that independent show. And I said, what the fuck? This is like finding Barry Windham in a goddamn wrestling school. What the fuck is this? He does everything right. They grew up on it. They grew up on NWA wrestling. They studied the things. They understand what this is, and they do it exceptionally. I want them to be seen by a lot of people. Regardless of whether they're booked, I think they can have a great match with the Young Bucks if the Young Bucks will, as we used to tell the young folks in the business, shut your mouth and open your ears. And, because the Revival could have a great match with anybody. So, of course, they can have a great match with the Young Bucks. If it's going to be a Young Bucks style match, it's going to be garbage because it's going to mean nothing and they're going to be pinging around from pillar to post. But I would hope and think that the Revival, especially once they sign a contract and they got to get paid, would snatch those fucking 2 little twerps and say, this is the way we're going to have this fucking match. And if you don't like it, then we ain't going to fucking put you over. Because that's the way it used to be done. And besides that, we've already seen fucking old Dash has a pretty good right from that guy that hit the ring on Bret Hart, right? He dropped him to his knees with one little short shot from 6 inches like Dick Murdoch. So I think, that they could be successful if they get signed to an AEW contract, get in the ring with the Young Bucks and say we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. And I'm not talking about whether they win or lose. I'm talking about what kind of match they have. And I know who's going to come out on the top in the fucking fist fight, so I don't think it should be a fucking problem. But if they're too nice and they're like other people that I spoke about earlier in the program and say, oh, okay, wrestling's evolved, so we're getting paid and I'll just do this, then it'll be the shits.
I don't think that's the way they would treat it.
I don't think they would either. And then maybe we'll see one of them Young Bucks with their knees buckling. Just a little wake-up shot. That's some of these things are the things that have been lost in the wrestling business. When you had a veteran or a top guy, a guy who knew what the fuck he was doing, and you had, whether he was a young babyface or a young heel, and he was going off in different directions or taking liberties or doing stupid shit, just crank that fucking guy upside the head one time to wake him up and say, listen, this is the way we're going to go, or we can go home now and talk about it in the locker room.
geez, I can't remember where I saw it. The other day, someone tweeted at me an article that had an interview with MJF. And with MJF, I never think anything he's doing is out of kayfabe. I think everything he does that's forward-facing towards the audience is in kayfabe. But there were elements of this article that I wondered, is this MJF speaking the truth? And he said one of the big differences between, and I'm paraphrasing, between me and the rest of the guys in AEW, like the Young Bucks and Omega or whatever, is that I listen to the veterans and I watch tapes and I ask questions, and a lot of those guys think that there's nothing the veterans can teach them. And I read that comment and I go, wow, that seems a little too close to home to not be an honest comment.
I've said he's the best heel in the business. And everything, as I've said, everything that I hear personally, professionally, whatever about Kenny Olivier makes me know that I would dislike him as a person and that we would never want to hang out or talk or be in the same room, wrestling or not. Every time I spend time, have a conversation with or hear anything about or see anything that MJF does, I think, my God, I know that the chances are nil that he's my son. Because the timing just doesn't quite work out. I'd already sowed most of my wild oats by the time he was born and in this particular area of the country. But everything, some people you just get, and some people you don't. Everything that I hear about him makes me like him more.
Well, plus there's no evidence that wrestling IQ is passed down genetically. That's ever been proven.
No, that's actually, that almost the other direction, right? So, well, there you go. Captain Ed George to the rescue.
I was just talking to Dave Brzezinski about Captain Ed George, and I heard some stories, and I've seen some custom artwork that Mr. Brzezinski has done.
Hey, I got to goddamn watch Captain Ed George on television, first run in his heyday.
Heyday?
Yeah. Hey, Dad!
Captain Ed George, for those of you out there who don't know who he is, he was the son of the Sheik. I guess his real name was Ed Farhat Jr., right?
Yes.
And the last time we heard about Captain Ed George, I'll let you say whatever you want to say, was we did some kind of segment on one of the shows talking about the Sheik, and it wasn't even, I don't even know if it was focused on the Sheik, but you just casually brought up how he was known, and he was, for cutting people's foreheads, including his own, with a razor blade.
Yes, including, or in some cases, for other places than foreheads, for fans who would attack him on the way to or from the ring because he had so much heat.
And not always alerting the guy he was going to cut that he was going to do it. He was known for this.
Yes.
Well, Captain Ed George that went on like Facebook and went crazy on you, like, how dare you say this? My father would never, ever cut his forehead with a razor blade.
Oh, my God.
And I commend him for keeping kayfabe in 2019 or 2018, whenever it was, but it was just...
You notice he didn't deny he cut to fans with a razor blade. But no, as a matter of fact, my favorite story of all time, I think it was somewhere maybe up in either Ontario or Michigan in the newspaper when they reported that the guy had been arrested for attacking the Sheik at the fucking wrestling matches. They said to explain the condition that the guy who attacked the Sheik ended up in, they said he was accidentally knocked through a plate glass window when being apprehended by police.
Interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, yes. And as a matter of fact, Mike Lauren, Porky Pig, Mike Lauren he was a wrestler who worked under the name Porky Pig. He was the Sheik's driver when he would go like to the Goulas territory or somewhere out of the territory that it was a drive. He'd drive the limo. And if the Sheik got in any fucking beef, then Porky Pig would take the bump for it with the cops, say, I did it, because he was always like his security guy or whatever. And if Sheik hit somebody, cut somebody, no, it was me. And then she could just bail him out or whatever. But anyway, Captain Ed George was the son of the Sheik. He was the Michigan version of George Goulas. He never wrestled in any other promotion except his father's, and he was pushed as a top babyface in the dying days of the Sheik's promotion, just like, only this time Captain Ed George didn't really help kill it. It was already on the way down. George helped kill Nix, but then, of course, all things changing and evolving over time. I mentioned one of the NWA anniversary shows, probably about 10, 12 years ago, that they had in Nashville at the fairgrounds. and they had 12 or 13 matches on the card. I watched 7 of them before our ceremony. And George Goulas came and was saying hello to all the guys there. And I swear to God, George on that show would have been the 3rd best worker that I saw on the card. So things change.